In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful. So I want to talk about the admission test. And the reason I want to talk about that is that I did a sermon a while back and where I talked about the admission test, Solomon and Job, how they were put through the test. Even in that area, I'll mention those verses. I think Surah 38, verse 30, around that even in the footnote says that we will be also put through the test. I'm kind of roughly paraphrasing those verses, by wealth or health or lack of it. Clearly says that. So I talked about in detail that they were put to the test. Solomon was so preoccupied with his beautiful horses that one day he missed his afternoon prayer, and he felt really bad. And to prove that so Satan cannot have this against him, that Solomon likes he rather spend time with his horses than to do the contact prayer or remember God. To counter that, he let those horses go. He rubbed their neck or something one day, and after that, and he did a farewell and he let them go. And Job was also in a very miserable situation, and he implored God of the all merciful ones, you are the most merciful. And God took care of his problems and restored him back even better, something like that in that area. And then he went on and preached God's word. In that sermon, I made I don't know if it was a mistake or what. For some reason, I never knew, and the reason I want to share that is because there's a point I want to make, God willing. I never knew the relationship between David and Solomon. For some reason, I thought he was David's servant. And in that sermon, I specify that what a great servant he was of David. That he inherited David's wealth, part of it or whatever, when he was responsible, and when this happened, he even let the horses go. I'm like, what a great servant he was. And after the sermon, I was objected on a couple of things. And the person who talked to me, I don't know if you will ever watch this video or not, but I'm not picking on you. The reason I want to share that is I want to share my personal experience as far as the admission test goes. I've talked to a few other people, and I've kind of analyzed different submitters, and I came to this conclusion by analyzing many people. They don't believe that there is admission test. Where we clearly see from the Quran that God says, I'm paraphrasing, that when you say you believe that you think that we will have you go to the heaven without testing you, we have tested the people before you, so we will be tested. It's very much clear, and to the point, and Messenger of the Covenant explains the system. You submit to God, you go through the test, and you enter God's kingdom when you pass the test. And if you don't satisfy the test, you go on for a very long period of time, and you'll be stuck in the test for a very long time if you don't satisfy you really worshiping God alone. So the minute we say that we really worship, we're going to be devoted to you, my Lord, we're going to be submitting to you, in that kind of sense, when we wholeheartedly submit to God, God will test us. Our verbal will not be accepted. So I can have a debate. I have talked to a few people, and I can have a debate. I can bring verses here and there and talk about it. But I don't want to do that. I just want to share my personal experience about the admission test. And there are two very important points that I want to share. Two critical points that I will, when I get to that point, I will tell you that Two important things about that. And the reason I want to share is that maybe it might help somebody. When this worldly matters, when we have something that, good experience about something, or you've learned something to do, and how we share, we're like, I know how to do it, I can teach you, or something like that, or personal experiences. So educate for that purpose, to educate somebody. That is the reason. There's no bragging factor, first of all, because God is running everything. Anything that good happens to us is from God. So the minute, even if I think about that, oh, I'm going to say that, and people will say, oh, what a righteous person, or this and that, I'm committing idol worship on myself. I am taking the credit. I have no credit whatsoever in this part. Or any good thing that I do, or anything that good happens to me, I have zero credit for that. God is running everything. Oh, we're only responsible. We only do mistakes. I even go to the point where people say that when you submit to God alone, that's the only credit you get. After that, God takes over. I don't even, may God forgive me if I'm wrong on that, but I pray to God, my Lord, take that from me also. I don't want to be part of any good in your system. All praise, all good belongs to you. I'd rather be in the negative side. I want to be responsible for all the mistakes and wrongs and negatives. Anything that good happening in my life is all praise be to you. But now that is out of the way, I want to strictly say that the reason I'm sharing is it might help somebody. But this has clearly happened with me, and that's why I understand. And I don't even 100% claim that was my admission test. I don't claim that I am in God's kingdom. But what the events that have been happening are very much parallel to what exactly God says in the Quran. It's very much parallel with what Messenger of the Covenant says. Again, I'm not going to say that it is exactly admission it was. I even implored my Lord, let that be my admission test, and accept me in your kingdom. I'm stressing it very heavily that there's no bragging factor, only if this helps somebody. Or somebody might say to me on the day of judgment, you had a good experience, why not bother share with people? This worldly life compared to the hereafter is nil. This is one of the words from the Quran. Pretty much that's what it says. Maybe I'm a little bit paraphrasing. The life in the worldly life is compared to the hereafter is nil. It's like zero. I mean, it may have some value in it, but when you compare it to the hereafter, is zero. So why would I want to be anybody to look at me or say something, oh wow, this is, that's amazing, or this and that? No, I don't even care about this worldly. To me, this world is like a video game. It's pixels, it's illusion, it's not real, it's simulation. A believer or righteous person living in this world knows that this is not real. Like a person who's playing a video game knows that this is not real, but they enjoy it. At the same time, they know that this is not real. That's how a righteous person sees this world. That this is a game. At the same time, they enjoy it, enjoy the life, and they know this is not real. Again, I'm not claiming to be righteous or believer or that mission test or God's kingdom. I implore God, let me be in part of that. Just to prove my point, that mission test and all that. So back to the sermon where I talked about the Solomon and Job, and I say that Solomon was David's servant. After the sermon, somebody approached to me, and my apologies to you, sir, I'm not picking on you. I'm just trying to prove my point. I was reached by somebody said that, you were wrong about that. Somewhere along the line, he said that Solomon was David's son. So I didn't know that. My apology, I didn't know that. I didn't find it in the Quran. Maybe I might have missed it. My apology. You say, no, I don't think it says in the Quran, but it says in Bible that he was David's son. I said, if he's his son, I have no objection to that. Absolutely not. Who am I to object to something like that? He was his servant. He was his friend. He was his neighbor. He was his or son or any. He was his brother. I don't have no objection to that. And if he's a son, my apology. I would accept it. Whoever, whatever the relationship it is, I would accept whatever it is. My apology. With something that it doesn't even really matter as far as this story goes about the admission test, which is the critical part of our life, the most, I would say, important part of our life, admission test, and you're proving to God this test is compulsory and is extremely important. You go to any pretty much like degree college, there's a test. They're not just gonna hand you the degree. They're gonna give you the syllabus, they're going to give you the books, they're going to teach you, and they're going to test you. This is the most critical part of our journey in this world. You submit to God, you will be tested. Something so important in this sermon where the relationship between David and Solomon was okay, either way is fine. That doesn't, actually, it doesn't even really change the story or matter. It's like people of the cave in Surah 18, people say we're 7, 5, 6, 4. I mean, look at the story. They were youth. Learn from their story. They were like, they implore God that we believe in you, help us and this and that. I mean, you can go and read it. And God said, because they stood up and we increased their strength. Because they stood up. We strengthened their faith. We gave them as refuge in a cave for around 300 years, lunar and solar. You can look up that. I mean, that's the essence of the story, to learn from them. These were youths. They said, we will not worship anybody else except our God alone. We had to learn from it, and people are asking questions. So back to this story. Something that was not even important, I was criticized, but something that was really, really important, that they were tested and the person clearly objected to that. It says in the footnote, but no, you don't understand this and that, this and that, this and that. I said, you told me that, I mean, I don't know if I have said that to him, that, or maybe I thought in my head at that moment that the relationship between David and Solomon was not even that part of the important thing in this story, but the test is black and white, written right there, and you're objecting to that. You're clearly objecting to that. You understand what my point is, right? Something is black and white, and you're objecting to that. Okay, let's move on. So that's out of the way. Now I want to tell you that why I want to share the stories, because to prove my point. Just to prove my point, what it was. And this started back in 2010 and before 2010, there's a long journey of me searching for God, quietly searching what is the truth out there. In that long journey before 2010, I have become atheist. I have looked into other religions, and after coming back and then fallen back into where I was born in Islam, and I said, let me stay here for now and let's see how things goes. In 2010, I started studying the Quran. I started studying the Quran. I came across a lot of red flags. What was passed on to me, like I was born in a very religious Muslim family. Then I left and I studied, and I was like, a lot of things were not making sense. And God willing, I will make a separate video about the journey to submission. I didn't just accept something that just came to me. I went out and looked at the different religions, part of living my life as atheist and all those things, on and on and on. But 2010, I started studying the Quran, and I came across a lot of red flags. What was passed on to me was very different than what Quran talks about. Like very, very clear red flags. We hear and we obey. We were not doing it. No distinction between messengers, prophets, four-step wudu, moderate tone, what is prohibited, what kind of dietary prohibitions, and all those things along the line I keep across. And I've talked to people, and then I was like, oh, no, we have this book, that book says that, you can, this is further explained. No, but the Quran says that. And I came to a point where, I don't know, 2011 or 12, somewhere around there, I said, my Lord, this is your book. I will read as it is. I'm submitting, I'm gonna do what you says in the Quran. As I progress in the religion, so this was, in a way, I didn't even know anybody in submission, messenger of the covenant, final testament, none of that I knew at that moment. But I submitted in a way, if you think about it, when you have I was reading the traditional translation, first of all, not final testament. And from that, I came across a lot of red flags. And I submitted to God. That means, in a way, I submitted to God. That I'm going to follow whatever I learned from your book, I'm going to follow that. And there was a point I came along close to in that area where I let all the hadith and everything go and start strictly following the Quran. And when I did that, and I didn't know that the process of submission to God alone and the test and the kingdom, I didn't know that system. So when I submitted, I started following the word of God. I said, I'm going to follow whatever I can understand from the Quran. I'll follow it. Slowly shifting as I learn, as I progress. Bad things start happening. Family issues, other stuff, one after another. It was unbearable situations in my life. Very difficult, very, very difficult. And so I didn't know that we will be put to the test. See, that's one of the critical part I want to tell you. I say two critical points I want to share. This is one of them. It is sad when I see people talk about there is no admission test when we have a messenger of God who tells us we have this beautifully translated Quran by the final testament by God's leave. God made him translate it. There's nothing good about him. God was the one running everything. God was running the whole show. He was a messenger of God, translated in a beautiful language, easy to understand. You have the information right now that there will be admission test. You deny that on my face right after the sermon, and several other people. Now tell me that I didn't even know back then there will be admission test. An ordinary person who submit to God alone and will start facing problems will turn back their heel. I mean, what is the phrase is? They will turn back on their heel immediately. That, oh, I think I have made a mistake. I have to follow everything, all the other books and everything else. Because as soon as I submitted to God alone, I start facing the problem. Maybe I'm making a mistake. But God made me run on the path. Again, I'm saying all was run by God. Stayed fast and persevere. Continue to go that path, regardless of whatever was happening. So that was the one critical point that I want to share. And my part, I didn't even know that I was an admission test. And Yet, God made me strong on that path. Continue going on that path. Where someone who has the information, this is a mercy of God that God is already telling us that you will be put to the test. So the people that come and submit to God alone, when they're suffering with problems, they know this is part of this journey. This is part of the process. This is a mercy from the most gracious. He's already telling us this will happen. And as far as my part, that's what I'm sharing this story. I didn't even know back then that I will be put through the test. That God made me continue on that path. Praise be to God. See, this is a huge mercy of God. And He's telling us that you will be my servant, my people. Oh, my people, that if you submit to God, I'm paraphrasing, I'm kind of giving the essence of the information from the Quran. Oh, my people, when you submit to God alone, you will be put through the test. So understand this is part of the process. And God doesn't put too much weight on somebody who cannot bear it more than whatever they can handle according to their situation. The second part that I want to add is that the second critical point is coming up. So as I go through the test, not knowing that this is a test, just struggling through the difficult situations, there are moments that I cry at night. The relationship between my father was going south, was getting sore because the situation, family matters and other situations where one day I opened the book, the Quran, not knowing. I didn't even know that was something people do, that when they're, when you're in a situation, you open the Quran and you read what verse comes in front of you. I just non-knowingly opened the Quran, Surah number 4, God talks about when you're being witness, even against yourself, be honest. So this was a traditional translation where the translation was kind of very much in the same area, but it was talking about the way they translated was when if you have to make a decision in some specific situation, even against your family, your parents, or something like that, or even yourself, be honest. With full judgment has to be just. And mashallah, praise God, I looked at the situation at that time and I said, this is the valid decision in the family matter, and mashallah, I went on that path. That's why my relationship with my father started going sour. I said, no, this is what God says, this is what I'm going to follow. And there are days and nights where I like so much in stress. And I'll share with you one verse from the Quran. And this is also a mercy of God that God made me got to that verse to say that verse over and over and over when I was in a difficult situation. And the second critical part is coming up. Be ready. And I don't even know this is a test. This is from Surah 21 where God talks about Zechariah and Jonah, around that area. And when Zechariah implored his Lord, when he wanted to implore his God for a son. So again, this was a traditional translation where I kind of thought that he didn't want to be alone. Praise God. He didn't want to be alone. So, and I would recite that in Arabic, like I'm imploring my Lord something. And the Arabic part is from Surah 21, somewhere like more than half Surah, where God talks about Jonah and Zechariah. And the Arabic part is in Auzubillahi minash shaitanir rajim, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Wa Zechariah iz nada rabbahu rabbi la tadarni fardan wa anta khairul warisin. Wa Zechariah iz nada rabbahu rabbi la tadarni fardan wa anta khairul warisin. And when Zechariah implored his Lord, my Lord, Rabbi, my Lord, don't leave me alone. So he was asking for a son, but I took that part of that verse when he was imploring my Lord, don't leave me alone, stay with me, stay with me. So I took that part and I will continue to repeat that verse again and again, again and again. Rabbi la tadarni fardan wa anta khairul warisin. My Lord, please don't leave me alone. I'm in a dire situation, in a very stressful situation. Please stay with me. I will say that over and over and over. Sometimes I'll lay down on the bed, turn off the lights, and just look up on the ceiling and like looking up at the sky and imploring. Read this over and over and over with tears coming out of my eyes. Rabbi la tadarni fardan wa anta khairul warisin. Rabbi la tadarni fardan wa anta khairul warisin. My Lord, please don't leave me alone. Stay with me, stay with me, stay with me. And the second critical part is God didn't make me implore Him to remove the conditions, whatever I was going through. Like God didn't make me implore to Him by saying, my Lord, I have submitted to you. Why I am suffering? Please remove all this. Which will, in a way, when you are put to the test, you don't want to implore God to remove the test. You may want to implore, my God, make it easy for me, make me go through the test, right? That was something I pondered that very recently about that when I was thinking and talking about making this video. It came across my mind, and everything is run by God. Praise be to God. If I am wrong in that matter, may God forgive me. I implore to God to forgive me on that matter. But it appears to be, it came to my head that why didn't I implore God to remove those difficult situations? Instead, God made me implore to Him, my Lord, stay with me in this situation. And I'm asking God, stay with me. I am in a difficult situation. Like when somebody is doing a test, you don't want to tell the teacher, remove the test, then the teacher will say, what's the point, Well, you are in a test. You have to do the test. You cannot say that, remove the test, right? So that was something I pondered recently, that I'm imploring God, please help me, stay with me. So those two critical points. One, I didn't even know it was a test, and yet God made me went through this. Second, that God did not make me implore to Him to remove these conditions, the situation that I'm going through. Instead, to maybe I might have said, make it easy for me. I'm in a situation, I don't remember that, but I do clearly remember day and night. Whenever I'm in very difficult situation, my Lord, please stay with me. Stay. You're asking somebody, when you want comfort, you want somebody to be with you. I'm asking God to be with me. Praise be to God. So that's the two things. And things continues. And I am searching. I'm still studying the Quran. My contact prayer has become completely different. What actually God, how we do it in submission, because I've started following the Quran, and it was one standing, one bowing, and one prostration 5 times a day, same timings, but one standing, one bowing, one prostration. Until I came across a video from Rashad Khalifa where he's teaching how to do the contact prayer, and I'm like, let me listen to him, what he's talking about. The more videos I watched him, and I become so excited. I said, my Lord, all my life I've been looking for somebody to say worship God alone, and finally I found somebody who says worship God alone. I immediately fell in love with that guy. This was my heaven on earth. I was addicted to his videos, audio tapes. I run to find the Final Testament translation. It took me a while to find a copy from Amazon. I used copy. I bought it immediately. I was looking for more copies. For some reason, even though I was listening to his audio tapes, video tapes, I fell in love with that guy. Somebody preaching God alone. That's my heaven. God made me not pay attention to the part where He talks about Him being a messenger. It took a while before I don't know how many months or days, I don't remember exactly, but I came across that part, and then I was devastated. Then when I heard that he claims to be a messenger, I said, how can that be? We have Prophet came and he was the final prophet. He's gone. I was devastated. I said, I found one person in the world who says worship God alone. Now he says he's a messenger. Where do I go from here? I'm lost again. But I said, wait a minute. And that I will talk more detail about that in my submission to journey to submission in detail. That was a very difficult task. All alone. I didn't even know any submitters. Normally you become a submitter, somebody convince you and give you the message and all that stuff. All was running with the grace of God, all alone. And yet people come to me and they say, why you follow audio tapes, why you do this, why you do that. You have no idea what I've been through. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? I say, you were not there when I was going through all that. Only God was with me. So don't tell me what is this and what is that, please. So there was a dream and all that stuff. I'll tell you in detail about accepting him. It only took like maybe a day or two. But I submit to God, my Lord. He has proved he is your messenger. I submit to you and accept him as a messenger. Then the second part, that when he talks about the last two verses from the Surah 9, that was a difficult one for me. Not just because he says that, because I was in love with Quran. Not even a verse I want to let go. I want to hold on to the whole Quran. So I don't want to even let go two verses. But then that was a difficult task for me, or you can say that. But still all alone, I listened and there's appendix, and somehow I said, yes, that makes sense. Yes, sir. And after all that, accepting him as a messenger, there was a dream, and God, that I saw a dream long time ago, maybe like 10 years ago maybe, around the time of 2010, I saw a dream. And this is about 2015 now. 5 years have passed when I accepted him a messenger and then all that stuff. Still, I don't know any submitters. There was a dream I saw the night I accepted him. I was working the late night shift. I was driving back home and I said, yes, sir, I submit to you. I submit to you, my Lord, that he is your messenger. Wholeheartedly accepted. He's preaching worship God alone. He doesn't want anything. He has a miracle and all these things. And I said, I submit to you. I vividly remember going through under the bridge. And it was like came to my head. I don't know how God communicates with us somehow. That like a voice in my head. Do you remember your dream? So that I'll talk to you about in that separate video. But let's stay on this. I don't want to confuse you too much. I don't want to confuse you. I'm sorry. So we go on that. After all this stuff happened, I accepted. And I told in my heart to this messenger of God that I accepted you, I will follow you. And even though if there's nobody else following you, I'm going to follow your path. I'm going to follow your path. In my heart, like I'm talking to him. Then later I found out submitters, and that goes on about 2016 or 17, somewhere around there. Things starts to change very rapidly. All the negativities were keep going away. It was like, there's like a lot of noise, chaos, thunderstorm, and a lot of noise going on. Imagine that, a stormy condition, and all of a sudden the clouds are gone, rain has stopped, the water has receded, the sun came up, the birds start chirping. It's a beautiful day. All of a sudden it was like that. Since then, 2017, you can say roughly up to 2025, it has been like that. So 2017, something shifted in my head. That how some people say, well, you drink, you take drug or something, your brain goes into a different dimension, in like a different zone. I was so excited. I was just so happy and jolly. Something happened. I worked that night. I was like in a different dimension now. I'm like, what happened? I came home late at night or in the morning. I went to sleep. I woke up. I'm in a different zone. I'm like bird like flying around like crazy. I'm just so happy for no reason. I don't know what's happened. I'm just in a different zone, like, somebody has fallen in love. You have crush on somebody. You're in a different world. You're happy. So that evening, I vividly remember there was a song playing on the TV. And it was an old song from early 90s from Shah Rukh Khan, Indian song. And I came and I sat down and I'm like, I started imploring God, I want that. I keep start singing that song. That song was on my list on repeat again and again and again. I've heard that song before. It was not my favorite song at all. It was just a song I heard, but that became one of my favorite songs. The song was, I'll tell you in Hindi, but then I will translate to you. The song was Shah Rukh Khan fell in love with a girl, and he is in a different world. And he went to this carnival place somewhere, and he's singing this song that Aakash ke hum hosh mein ab aane na paaye. Aakash ke hum hosh mein aane na paaye. What he's saying is because he has fallen in love with this girl, that he's in a different world, that he doesn't want. He's praying that I wish I don't want to come back into my senses. I want to stay in that zone. I'm like, I want that. I want to stay in that zone. So I keep singing that song. I wish I don't want to come back into my senses. I had this song on the repeat in my phone and my Bluetooth. Keep singing, and after that, I sang and listened to the song very often. Whenever that song comes on, I sit down and listen. Even up to now, it's one of my favorite songs. That since 2017 up to now, I feel like I'm in that zone non-stop, 24 hours a day. I'm always in a different zone. Nothing bothers me, praise God. I just stay in that zone. Like, somebody's high on drug or something. It's like Messenger of the Covenant says, it's like ecstasy. The lava is bursting out of your heart. Nothing bothers you. Always in a jolly mode. That was... So you tell me, and I pray to God, I don't claim that it was admission test. I don't claim that I'm in God's kingdom. But you tell me, this is very much parallel with what God says and what Messenger says in the Quran. This is my story about admission test. I'm in healthcare. I see patients. I have worked through the COVID-19 with the patient face to face. On a very, very sick patients on the ventilator. Some of them have passed away. I felt very bad for so many people. You tell me, I'm working face to face, and since 2017 up to now, zero headache in my head. You usually get headache. You take a Tylenol when you get better. Zero headache happened since 2017, around that time. I'm gonna stop here just for a second. I gotta take an exit and I'll continue after that. Usually you get flu, you get like 5, 6, 7 days. It's a cycle. Your body learns the virus and get out of it. I used to have that happen before. I would get flu in 5, 6 days. It was a routine, we know that. So you tell me, everything has changed. Peace, happiness, happiness, happiness. That's all I pretty much look around. I even go to a vacation. I'm like in a different world. Continuously enjoying a different world. Praise be to God. So, please tell me. I don't claim that, again, that it was admission test, or I don't claim that I am in God's kingdom. But I sincerely implore my Lord, let that my admission be my admission test. Please accept me in your kingdom. When I say in the contract prayer, "Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in," guide me in this right path. I need your guidance. Stay on it. So again, I'm not picking on anybody. I don't want to debate with somebody to have verses from here and there. Simply sharing my life story. I have seen so many videos of motivational speakers where they talk about their personal experience. They don't want to pull verses, or quotes from here and there, and that's you got to do this to get that. You got to do this to do that. You have to do this and that. They share by their personal experience, and that speaks volume. When you actually tell people by your personal experience, that speaks volume. What you've been through. Tell us. People want to know what you have been through. They don't want to. They know what a lot of things, theory part, and they want to talk to people that they actually been through that experience. So theory part from the Quran and actually practically applying that in life, it's a two different things. They want to actually know about how this happens in. So that part, and then my other things I want to talk about, actually I want to make a video, God willing, about the audio tips, what my experience has been in my journey to submission, and many, God willing, other topics that I want to make, God willing. Praise be to God.